Good evening. My name is Juan Vazquez-Rosa. I'm a student at Colorado Christian University, and I'm currently studying the course Constitutional Law, being instructed by Professor Gina Lopes. This evening I'm going to be covering several topics of interest. One of them is going to be the misconceptions that I had before I started going through this course. Second is going to be things I don't understand. Third is going to be things that I wish that the founders would have included in the ratification of our Constitution, and fourth is going to be my preferred method of interpretation of the United States Constitution. The number one misconception that I personally had about the Constitution was that I thought that it was the only document that was ever created. Once we went into the course, I immediately learned that we had the Articles of Confederation. But the Article of Confederation had certain limits, and the limits were that they did not protect the United States from the individual states. An example is the United States made some treaty with another nation, and these treaties needed to be supported and backed up by the individual states. But because we did not have a constitution that protected the United States, then the individual states can watch out for their own interest and not support the decision being made by the national government. Another thing that I think it was a misconception that I had was the fact that our Constitution promotes a Republican government versus I thought that our Constitution promoted democracy. This is very important because it actually promotes that decisions are made by representatives of the people for the people, which is, I think, is one of the cornerstones of our government. And lastly, the other misconception that I had was that the Constitution clearly separated the church from the state. I believe that it explicitly said that because of the way that things appear in the media and the way conversations appear, in our social lives. Come to find that it doesn't say that specifically. What it says is that pretty much the government is not going to promote a religion. And that leads me to the number one thing that I think I don't understand. I don't understand how we come to a point where we have deducted that it says the church and the state must be separated. And I'm sure as we move on in the course, I'm going to be able to gather understanding of how we've arrived to that point. So the third topic is going to be things that I wish the founders would have included, and actually the thing that I don't understand helps us get to that point. And I wish that the founders would have included the words God and Christianity in our Constitution, not forcing other people to practice it, but it be recognized at the core of our value system. The Judeo-Christian beliefs as the core of our values. We can see and go in the past, and we find out that it was the core of our belief system, and I just wish they would have included in the Constitution. And that leads me to the last thing. My preferred method of interpretation of the Constitution is contemporary literalism. And what I mean by that is that I prefer that the Constitution be read as a literal document and to preserve its intent and its meaning be applied to current vocabulary use. That way the citizen can understand its meaning and what the founders or framers intended. One last thing that I want to go ahead and talk about that I think it's important about our Constitution and it's the judicial system that it provides. Our Supreme Court does, or its role or intended role was to provide a group or a body of people who actually were put in office without any strings attached. They cannot lose their job if they make decisions that are not popular. And I appreciate what the founders intended by that. The fact that their sole purpose is to protect minorities, I think, is something that clearly defines the foundational vision of our founders. Protect the minority by providing a government that was non-majoritarian. So My name is Juan Vasquez. Have a good night. God bless you, and thank you for your time. I hope that the information that I put out was helpful.